So I want to talk about a project that I've been working on during the past semester. I don't know half of what I'm doing really, but it was a really fun project, and we called it Timeline as a Node. It's quite a terrible name. So if you have suggestions for a better name, feel free. So it's basically a UX UI case study, and so what are we trying to solve with this? So a bit of a hot take, but in my opinion, traditional NLE video editing is a bit archaic. Because it's based off of it's layer-based editing that is kind of inspired by the actual splicing of film with actual film strips, and you can find remnants like the blade tool and the film strips. There's some problems in traditional NLEs. A classic one that I like to think of is the problem of rearranging a clip. So in this example, the purple clip, you're trying to move it in, so you have to do 3 actions. You have to first move all the clips to give space, then you move a clip, then you bring it back in. And that's quite tedious. Alternatively, a lot of NLEs allow you to move clips adjacent, like via keyboard shortcuts. But in this example, the blue clip's audio gets destructively cut. And in all cases, you have more, if you have more clips links, you're moving, you're more likely to mess up things, like if you have background music on another track. And although there are solutions like locking tracks, then you run into other problems like tracks being desynchronized as you move stuff around. So it gets quite messy. Meanwhile, we have node-based editors, which are extremely promising. And node editors are much more up-to-date because when we think about graphics, we usually call it graphics pipeline, where you have multiple outputs and inputs. And node editors represent that very well. And graphic pipelines are using nodes anyways, in a certain sense. So why isn't video editing node-based already if we're doing it digitally? Problem is, since the node editor canvas takes up both axes of a canvas, there isn't really a good way to represent time. And so so far, in my opinion at least, they kind of lack functionality for timelines that an NLE needs. So this presentation is in 2 parts, but hopefully to make it a bit more useful to everyone. So we're going to first analyze some software projects, and then the second part we're going to be showing off a proposal and possible solutions. And that way, my hope is that even if you're not interested in our UI UX solution, at least the overview will have been useful. So okay, so how can time be represented in node-based editors? This is the simplest case. I'm using levels. I'm not sure if that's a great name. There's not any better than the other, but this is kind of the simplest thing you can do, where you have a time node, and it's just driving here the X translation. And so as time ticks up, the object moves. It's quite simple. The problem is you can't do keyframe animation at all. So yeah, I guess you could do a Fourier transform on your animation pipeline, but that's completely ridiculous to do. So no keyframing. So simple, yeah, not really flexible. So level 2 is kind of animation panels where you can have that keyframing, which gives you the granular control. But you still run into the problem that if you want to retime anything, you want to extend an animation a bit, you have to select all of your keyframes. And it's very easy to get hundreds of keyframes because if you have anytime you change direction, that's already 2 values that you're changing. Also, the values scale is between 0 and 1, but X coordinates might be between 0 and 1920. So they're just all over the place, and it's just a headache to manage. Already here, you can see there's so many overlapping things. It's just really hard to manage. Kind of level 3. This is a bespoke synth, which is really cool, and it's using a triggered-based system. So here on the top, there's this kind of playlist that has slots selected, and then these go down and trigger each of those modules. So when the slot is active, the module is running. So that one right now is just starting. And it kind of goes down in this kind of playlist thing. It works really well for real-time things, but there's no playhead. So for a video editor, this doesn't really work either, but works great for real-time things. So kind of level 4, we have slot-based. This is just because I came across Cables GL, which had an interesting approach.
Type of interpolation method. So when I click this, I get this little drop down here, and I can choose clip fade in. So this is our fade in clip here. And now you will see
one right there.
the exact same curve that we have down here, we will see again here. So now when I change this animation, you will see this curve is just changing.
So that was a very brief clip from the documentation that they have. But so you can kind of define animations in these nodes, and then you can like kind of copy them onto other animations using the little timeline panel underneath. But the problem with that I have is that there's no really visual connection between the animation node on the top right and the things that it's actually affecting. There's no line between there to show that, oh, I'm using the animation up there to drive the animation down there. They're just kind of separate. Okay, so level 5, I would say is like connection-based time systems. In this case, we have oscilloscore. And this one works by having the length of the path being the actual like time driver. So kind of how this works is like, for example, this clip right here, this one plays right after this one. So if you change the length of this one just plays after it. That works nicely. You can do things like here, it's going to loop. You can also have triggers. And so it really works well with live systems because you can do looping, you can trigger it. But there is one problem that I find with this is that you end up with playheads at multiple times at once, because what can happen is you can start playing here, it can start looping there, maybe you trigger that point, and now you have a time playhead playing right here and playing up there at the same time. So the linearity doesn't translate anymore. So kind of conclusions from like these past examples, some of these solutions have problems that don't work in video editing. Some solutions will be the right solution for your software. So if you do live performance, some of them work really well. It really depends on your goals. Okay, so we want to make a node-based video editor. So some design guidelines. It should be familiar to all like traditional NLEs. It should be intuitive. So we don't want to alienate any users. And node-based, no shoving things in panels. It means that the time element should be shown via the node graph. And it must be flexible. So at last year's LGM, after Simran had done a talk about the state of video editors, and also having met Jules from Colab, an idea that had previously like just marinated in the back kind of shaped up. And I talked over Simran over dinner on this idea, which was, what if we took this timeline section and made that the node? Like, what would happen if we just, took the entire timeline area and just threw it on the canvas? And so this comes to our solution. So fast forward to winter break. Kaylee, a fellow classmate from my uni who specializes in UI UX design, I was talking to her about open source design, and I had mentioned this project in passing from when I was at LGM, and she found it interesting, so we started doing design sessions together and then working on it for real throughout the semester. And so this is kind of what we came up with. This is a design mockup, so it's kind of to walk you through what is exactly going on here. So let's say you have a video. You would first input it into the video node, and the clip appears up there. So now let's say I want to add a second video. In this example, we have the video chew with an audio attached to it, and then we also have a sound effect, which is being time offset, so it's starting slightly later. And as you put it into the timeline node, it just adds it sequentially. So the timeline node is just kind of acting like a merge that just adds things on in time. Next up, we have a gap. A gap is just blank video, so why not just make that a node? Next, we have an example of sometime when you want to trim. So trimming in a traditional NLE, you like drag the trim handles, but you always do trimming before adding it into the timeline usually. So why not make that a node too? So then you can have your trim clip, and then you just put that in, and it just works. If for whatever reason you decide to change the length of a trim, and you have another node, after that, it will just automatically move the next clip. So if you were to change the trim of video 3, then the length of the location of video 4 would just automatically shift and ripple edit. You can also do things like transitions. A transition is just a few frames before and a few frames after being merged, combined together. So just make that a node and make it right there in between. Also, you can have an audio track. Audio track is currently on track layer number 2. There's nothing there, so it just goes in at the beginning. It's quite straightforward there. So this is where the advantage of a node system really comes across with the timeline node is, let's say you want to go back to that example of moving a clip or swapping a clip. So here, all you have to do is just reconnect that node over there, move that node over here, and even though the purple clip was longer, everything shifts over, it's fine, and the green clip comes over here, and the transition even maintains itself. In traditional NLEs, if you're to do this, the transition would disappear because you can't have a transition that is just like hanging off the edge of a clip. But here, we don't really care, you just put it in, it works. And it can stay there. We can then do things like layered editing. So we still want to have that traditional NLE system of having stacked layers because we don't want to alienate users. And track effects are also quite useful. So kind of the solution we came for this is you can have different like layers layers of a video. So in this case, we have a stack merge, which just adds on another layer, basically. So we have like a lower third on top of that clip. This one, we have a motion graphic. This lower third is being time offset, so it's starting beforehand on the clip. And because it's going to hit that motion graphic, it's going to put it right there. So yes, there'll be a gap underneath there, but that's normal. There's a transition still there, and then there's another clip right afterwards. And then those just kind of branch out. You can put audio track effects, which will affect everything on that layer. And then you can combine that. Whenever you do a stack merge, the tracks kind of stay as like channels, so you can always take them back out, is kind of the idea. And then if you like had the motion graphics like shorter, that could fit in. So you can just kind of push it in there and it just works kind of automatically. So that's kind of the idea that we came up with. Going off of this, any UI workflow can be a node. And this comes with the advantage of presenting to the user only what they want to see when they need it. This is like the problem with like UI UX design is like always try to make sure that the user doesn't get overwhelmed and only sees what they really need to see. So an example of this is multicam editing. Multicam editing is a technique where you have several camera perspectives. They're all running at the same time, so they're synchronized, and you just want to switch between the perspectives. So in traditional NLEs, there's a tool for this. In this case, you can already see the problem, which is I'm missing all these clips here, and this is a destructive workflow. So with nodes, we can just take the multicam part and make that its own user interface. So in this example, we have our synchronized video. We can make a cut just using like a blade tool. Suddenly we have a new clip. And here we have like our little selector. So if you click on that, it can switch between like which video is playing. Another neat thing is because the timeline node editor is separate, you can then take your multicam and change the ordering, right? So in this case, video 2 is being played after video 3. We've even also inserted a transition. If you wanted, you could like insert a clip within your within your interview, like maybe like a cutaway shot, and you still maintain that non-destructive workflow underneath, which allows you to go back and like change the camera angles or whatever. It's not like you have to enter a multicam mode or exit a multicam mode, and then once you exit, you can never enter it back again. This is always consistent and it always works. This is kind of little concept that we also came up with, which was script-based editing. The idea here is you highlight some text, it generates a little circle point here, which then you can take your node and attach it to, so then you have your clip that is associated with text. Then if you change your text, it will change the outputs. So like here we have like kind of this comparison where you can see that these two inputs got switched. And so then you can pipe that into a timeline node and do your editing based off of the screenplay text. So like if you have a screenwriter who's going to change something, then it could propagate the changes into there. Yeah, any UI workflow can be a node. Another idea we had was like animation. This is set up to do like audio ducking. So you can see here, like we're going to say over time, go up the value on audio clip 1. It's going to, I think the values are slightly wrong. Yeah, that should be a +6. Oh well. On audio 1, we're going to make it lower, and we're going to take a math node, take the negative of it. And so on the other audio, it's going to be +6 decibels, so it's going to be louder, so you can kind of do audio ducking that way. Yeah, back on tracks and channels. As I said earlier, like you're thinking of like having tracks be like this kind of data type that you can have any connections and kind of combine them together, but then you can always display them separately. And similarly, audio channels, like why not make that node a node 2, right? So you can have like an audio clip 1, which you can then expand into like both the left and right channel. And then in this case, you could do a volume change on it. So then if you change the volume of one thing, it's going to change the pan of it. Who says you can only have 2 channels? You could have 5 channels. You could have surround sound. You could have Dolby Atmos. You can do whatever you want. That's kind of the flexibility of this design system that it allows. Okay, cool. I do have some more time. So now we have one more proposal. And this one kind of goes beyond the video editor concept. Yeah, this one is a bit more extreme. So this proposal is about nesting nodes. So in this example, you have a color correction node preset that we've made. This is an entirely separate file. We just put here so you can see it together at the same time. And you can see here we can take like a video, run it through a pipeline. So it goes from video 1, it goes into input 1, it goes out output 1, which is connected to input 3, which is down there, which goes out to output 3, which then we have hijacked the node by adding a skin tone modifier. So with this system, you can literally take a preset and inject nodes into the middle of a pipeline before you output it. And our thought was, maybe we could even expand this to beyond just a video editor, because any node system is always an input and output. Like, what if we could say, like, take a design file from like Graphite and then import it into a video editor, so that the graphics editor could give a video editor like a file for a motion graphic, which then they can just import. So if there's like a common API or something that would allow different systems to interact with each other, since it's all just inputs and outputs, it might be something that's interesting. So design conclusions. Think in terms of pipelines nodes. The timeline node at the end of the day is really just a merge node that like merges clips sequentially. So think of simple terms like that. Make more UIs inside of nodes, show what you need, when you need it, and make sure that the flow is easily understandable using both like established designs, like the traditional NLE, which the timeline node was based off of, and clear choices. Anyone interested? So this is the part where I say, so unfortunately, I'm not a programmer, and I wished I could have a demo, but there is no demo, there's just mockups. And so I'm hoping to work on this more, make a prototype, do more user testing. So I don't know the code, so this is just work in progress. So if anyone is interested, there's a call for that. You're welcome to hack on this, and if you do, you'll have 2 UI UX designers supporting you. And of course, if you're a developer of existing software, you're more welcome to steal any of these ideas. I'm more than happy to give you the mockups. I know I was also talking to people yesterday about who are people who do real-time visualizations. You could also, have a timeline node that is running based off of triggers. That's an idea that I had yesterday night. So, you could also definitely use it into other software. So if you're an existing developer, feel free to, steal any of your ideas. Yeah, that's my email. Huge thanks to Kaylee, the classmate who helped me on this. She did so much work, and she was absolutely amazing. And thanks to Simran and LGM, which without that last year, this would have never came to life. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark, Alexandre. We are open for questions, and there is already one backside. I just want to say I might have a software that requires a UI for timeline, but it's a bit different. Timeline architecture.
Yeah. Can you go back a few slides, please? There was something that wasn't clear to me. Yeah. No. Yeah. A bit more, like on the timeline. Yeah. So, so from what I understand, there's this small timeline here with like timestamps, and at the top, and then the small circles say where the node is injected. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, for example, like I understand that the first node is gonna run starting from where it is, mm-hmm. And as soon as we hit another node, it's gonna stop, and the next node is gonna play.
Yes.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
And so what happens if the first node is shorter, and then so is that like blank, or is it because you were talking about like automatically fitting? So how does it work?
Yeah. So anytime, tell me if I'm wrong, if I got your question wrong. So like, if this clip is shorter, what happens to the rest of it?
Yeah.
So it's always sequentially done. So if this clip ends up being shorter, then everything else just shifts to just play afterwards.
Okay. So
it's
the
only
UI
one after the other.
The UI is gonna slide automatically to fit, or is it just because it looks like I don't know, the third clip starts like at 10 seconds. So yeah, does it actually start at 10 seconds, or just it starts whenever the previous one is finished?
I think I had an example. Yeah, so like if you were to shorten motion graphics clip right there, whoops. Yeah, if I was to shorten the motion graphics one, since there's a collision up there, currently it's just playing afterwards. And this is kind of treated as a block because you have one input, right? So the lower third and that yellow clip is one block. But now if I shorten motion graphics, there's space now, so it's just going to shift over.
Okay. So the actual preview down there, I don't see from here, but yeah, it shows time codes, but so it's not the actual time that it's going to start, right?
Yeah, but the time code is just for convenience. It's
above, but not okay.
Everything is in relative time. There's no absolute like starting time. Yeah.
Thanks.
I also have a question which fits on that slide. Like you explained, the merge is per block, but what if I want to make to merge a layer on top of several blocks without having to like create merge for each of those blocks?
So like have one clip that's going over. Okay. Yes. So this kind of shows that if you have that blue clip you can see right now is currently over the green clip. So as long as the way that a clip is where it's placed is always wherever there's a collision. So this one is always going to play next to the green one because it's the one that's afterwards. You can't have two video clips overlaid at the same time. But if you go on the layer above, there's space there. So if you had that lower third like extend all the way down the timeline, you could have a layer that is overlaying several clips at once.
Okay.
Hopefully that. Okay.
Okay, it's basically time for lunch. So thank you very much.
Thank you.